A 19-year-old unarmed man named Zachary Hammond was recently shot and killed during a police stop. Now, according to reports, the 19-year-old was driving his passenger, a 23-year-old woman, to buy some marijuana. And they happened to have purchased it from a undercover officer. Now, this is, of course, a drug sting, right? Now, this police officer, by the way, who is still unidentified, is now being put on administrative leave pending this investigation. Now, I'm going to get into some of the details. Now, according to Police Chief John Covington, the officer got out of his marked vehicle and approached Hammond's car with his weapon drawn. Already, kind of a red flag, but apparently, according to Mr. Covington, that's standard practice for a narcotics investigation. Oh, interesting. Now, that's when, of course, when he was approaching with his gun drawn, that's when, according to the chief, Hammond supposedly accelerated his car towards the officer, causing him to, of course, fear for his life, and we all know what happened next. Whenever a cop says he fears for his life, someone usually ends up dead, at least here in America. Now, the police officer says that he shot and killed the unarmed Hammond in self-defense. But an independent autopsy, however, claims that no, Zachary Hammond was reportedly shot from behind. Interesting. Now, according to the Associated Press, Oconee County Coroner Carl Addis said that the teen did die from a gunshot wound to the upper torso, but however, he did not indicate whether or not the shooting took place from behind or in front. Now, there was an independent autopsy done that says something completely different. And the family's attorney, Eric Bland, claims no, the first shot actually hit Hammond in the left rear shoulder, and then the second bullet hit at a downward angle into his side from the rear, piercing his heart and lungs. Of course, that was the fatal shot. Quote, the shots were so close in proximity to each other that it would have been physically impossible unless the car was stopped and the officer came up very close to an open window, according to Bland. Picture a car going 20 miles an hour, and I'm fortunate enough to get a shot off, and I hit you. There's no way I can get the second shot off if the car's going 20 miles an hour. Now, when you're in a car, 20 miles doesn't feel that fast, but when you're standing outside the car, it seems pretty fast. And it seems like a lot of luck involved. Well, luck is a relative term when it comes to this. Now, Chief Covington also says the shots were fired at point-blank range, which would explain why the entry wounds were 5 inches apart. But if he's going 20 miles an hour and you have a hard time squeezing off one shot at point blank, well, isn't he going to be gone by the time you squeeze off the second shot? I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. Now, obviously, if the cop did shoot Hammond from behind, then it would indicate that Hammond might have tried to drive off, right? That he was trying to get the fuck out of there. Which I wouldn't blame him. However, if that's what he was doing, then how could the cop claim that he was acting in self-defense, that he was going to be run over? If he's fleeing, he's obviously not in trouble, right? If it were the front, however, that would prove that he was a danger to the cop's life. At this point, we don't know. We don't have the surveillance footage yet. The dash cam footage, not released, at least not to the public. It has been released to investigators, and is basically news outlets are requesting that it be released to them, and I think eventually it will be. But I don't understand why cops get to see it first. Why they get to hold on to it for basically as long as they choose. Wouldn't it be better if they did release it to the public immediately, showing what actually happened? I mean, I don't believe dash cam footage that much anymore, especially since the obviously edited Sandra Bland video. They had enough time to edit that very poorly, but they had enough time to edit it because they weren't immediately required to hand it over. I think that in the case of any shooting by police, you need to hand over the tape, and it needs to get released and made public. Now, I don't know if that's the best idea. I think that's a good idea, but maybe there's an angle I don't know. I'm not sure. But it seems like because the cops get access to it for as long as they want, well, they can sit there and rewatch it and figure out their own defense. I don't like that. I don't know. I'm not saying that's all that they, that they do, but it seems like it could be. And look, you guys got to remember, too, that this kid's dead over a bag of weed. Why, again, is marijuana illegal? If marijuana wasn't illegal, this probably wouldn't have happened. There are so many different steps in this that would have prevented this from happening. But the biggest thing is that marijuana is illegal. This shouldn't have even happened. And look, who are the police protecting when they kill an unarmed kid for buying weed? And it probably wasn't even him buying the weed. It was a person in the car who, by the way, got arrested for possession after she saw her friend get shot to death. That's why this war on drugs doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And here's another thing. Where are all the White Lives Matter people on this? That's my question. Where are they? In fact, where are all the protests? Maybe it could be that the black community isn't making up all this police violence after all. Maybe there is an actual problem here. At least if you're a sensible person, you would already know that there's a problem. Well, what about the All Lives Matter people? Where is it? According to some data compiled by The Guardian, police in the U.S. have actually killed more white people in the first 7 months of 2015 than people of any other race. Oh, interesting. So where are the All Lives Matter people? They killed about 335 people, white people, so far. Now, however, when you adjust these numbers by population, we do see that the police are killing black people at a rate more than twice of white people. So where is All Lives Matter? A lot of white people are being killed by cops. More black people are being killed by cops. Especially when, as I said, when you control for population. But nonetheless, both white and black people are being murdered by police. So where is All Lives Matter? Where are they? Maybe they're too busy defending police at all costs. Maybe that's it. There's an awesome tweet from somebody named Jamila Lemieux that perfectly sums up why I think All Lives Matter isn't raising a stink about this. Hashtag Zachary Hammond isn't going to get all the outrage he deserves because it would force folks to admit their consistent defense of police is wrong. When are we as a society going to wake up and realize that our cops are completely out of control? When? That anybody, whether or not you're black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever, are able to be shot and killed by police, even when they're unarmed. When are we going to wake up to that? When are we going to wake up to that reality? And it's not because police are inherently bad people. Some are. But I think it has to do with the training. They need better training. And it would be really important, it'd be really nice if they stopped treating their community that they're supposed to protect and serve as if they are the enemy. That is a problem. That is a huge problem. And finally, of course, as I alluded to earlier, I think an important step to stop this kind of stuff would be to end the drug war. This kid was killed over a bag of weed. A bag of weed. No matter the facts in this case, you can't deny that he was murdered, shot, killed over a bag of weed. Whether or not he was fleeing, whether or not he was coming towards the officer, which I'm not buying, but we'll see when the facts come out, right? But regardless of all of that, this whole thing was started over a bag of weed. I thought banning drugs, I thought keeping drugs illegal was supposed to protect young people from being killed. How are we protecting young people? Because if this is your idea of protecting young people and protecting people from drugs, I think I'd rather have the drugs.